Okay. Welcome, everybody. Hope you can hear us. Hope you can see us. Welcome to the 33rd Hohner Live here on the Hohner YouTube channel. Thank you for tuning in. Please let us know from where you're tuning in. Hope you have a good evening or good day. Welcome, Liam Ward, tuning in from the UK. Happy to have you on the stream.
Lovely to be here. What a pleasure.
Nice. Yeah, I hope there's not too big of a latency or something and our audio is like equally loud. But people can tell us.
Yeah, let me know if I'm too loud or too quiet. Yeah, I have a tendency to shout, especially when I have these on. So let me know if I'm shouting and I can be quiet if need be.
But the levels look fine. They look fine. So for everybody who doesn't know Liam, Liam Ward is, you're the founder of learntheharmonica.com. Are you in Stroud, UK right now? Is that true?
Yes, that is.
Oh, we have kind of a latency.
Have you been stalking me?
Do you feel the latency?
Yeah, we've got a little bit, yeah.
I don't know where that's coming from. But yeah, we will see later. Let us know if it's like, if it feels weird for you tuning in. So Liam is one of the biggest teacher in the online harmonica world. If you ever went to YouTube to learn a song for harmonica, I'm sure you came across a video of Liam. And so yeah, I'm very happy to have you on the stream, and especially happy because like we never met in person. And especially like right now we can't meet in person, like there are no harmonica festivals going on or something.
Yeah, that's very true. It's a strange time, but it's in a way allowed people to communicate in a different way. So I've been interviewing people myself, and I know you've been speaking to a lot of harmonica players.
Yeah.
And I know it's a horrible time, but it has meant we're sitting at home and we think, well, what can I do? Oh, I'm going to call up Konstantin or whoever, you know, and connect with other people. So that's been one little silver lining.
That's true. Yeah. And you are basically not too far away from Bristol, where the NHL Harmonica Festival usually takes place, right?
Yeah, so I'm a 40-minute drive from Bristol, and I'm even closer to the festival. Actually took place further up towards me last year, and I played at the festival, and it was a 20-minute drive or something. So yeah, there's a little harmonica hotbed in this area of the country, the southwest of England. So I'm lucky.
Okay, that's great. Yeah. So I remember playing at the NHL Harmonica Festival, but I'm not sure when that was. Maybe like in 2014, something like that. So yeah, that's some time ago already.
Yeah. Yeah, time flies, but it's a great festival. They work really hard to get lots of different styles, different genres, because so many harmonica festivals are so blues heavy, and I love blues. That's my main thing. But they will get the harmonica orchestras, the groups with chord and bass and diatonic and chromatic and tremolo. You know, all these different types of harmonica, and you don't, at least in the UK, you don't really hear that stuff anywhere else. Yeah,
and you actually became one of the players of the year at the NHL Harmonica League and the festival. Can you tell us about that? Which year was that? And was there a competition?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds better than it is, to be honest. But yeah, they had this. I don't know if they still do it. They had a contest with categories, and I won the blues and rock player of the year. I think it was maybe 2013, 2014, something like that. You know, feels like a long time ago. I entered one year and it went very badly. I didn't prepare, and then I thought, I'm going to prepare and I'm going to do it next year, and I went and won it the next year, and then it was tick it off the list. Okay, done with that. You know.
Nice, yeah, because I mean, I never participated in any kind of competition, to be honest. But I've been a judge a few times, quite a few times. And
Have you not? You haven't done the. What about the World Harmonica Festival, the stuff in Trossingen or anything like that? You haven't entered that?
Oh no, I was already judging in 2013.
Wow.
So just yeah.
Started young.
Great. So yeah, I hope the connection is fine. This is the first time that we're streaming in 1080p on the Hohner live stream. So yeah, let us know if there's anything wrong. Then I'm in control of everything and I can change stuff. So,
I'm in control of nothing and I can do nothing, so don't ask me.
Yeah. Fantastic. So let's start with the early beginnings. I mean, of course, I'm interested in how you started, getting interested in music. I'm not sure. Do you play any other instruments, or was the harmonica your first instrument? And what was your inspiration?
Yeah, so I grew up in a very musical family, and at times it was a bit like, if you think of The Sound of Music, the story of the Von Trapp family, all the children and the singing together. It was a bit like that. I'm one of 8 with all my siblings, and everyone played an instrument when we were kids, and we had kind of a family and friends band. And I was a drummer originally, and we used to do Brazilian samba drumming. So I'd play the snare drum in the street parades and stuff. But I wasn't a good drummer. And then one day, 17 or 18 years old, my mum bought me a little Teach Yourself Bob Dylan harmonica songs and a horrible cheap harmonica that came with the book, which, if you ever get a harmonica free with a book, it's a crap harmonica. It's terrible. But I tried because I was really into Dylan, because my parents were into Dylan and Neil Young and the 60s kind of folk musicians. And so I learned some Dylan and I learned some Neil Young stuff, but then I got some lessons. There was a guy who lived around the corner from me called Matt Walklett, who was a good blues and traditional folk musician. And he used to cycle round to my house and he'd be wearing lycra. He'd have this tight lycra cycling clothes on, and he'd come round and he'd give me a harmonica lesson after college. And he gave me a CD of James Harmon, Extra Napkins, amplified blues. And it was like being punched in the face with something beautiful. I was kind of like, whoa, this is it, you know. And then from then on, the main focus was always blues, because it was like, okay, this is where this little instrument feels most natural.
Yeah, that's interesting. So it was really more like the sound of the instrument rather than like a specific piece or a specific artist.
Yeah, so what it was I'd never heard amplified harmonica before. So I'd heard Dylan breathing through the thing. I'd heard, and then to hear not only kind of something just a bit more musical, but something that was going through, this kind of thing, a little tube amp, a valve amp.
Yeah.
And also that like tongue block sound. So suddenly I was hearing you know, and I was kind of like, what is that? I mean, I thought it was a guitar at first, just because
Yeah.
of the overdriven sound of the amplifier. I thought that isn't the little instrument I know. And my teacher said, yes, it is, you know. So then I was like, okay, that's what I want to do.
So you're now a big harmonica teacher in the online harmonica world. But how was it for you then learning the instrument? Did you teach everything yourself? Did you learn it autodidactically, or did you have teachers on your way, or did you even have the chance to like benefit from the internet and the content?
Yeah, so I mean, we're talking 14, 15 years ago when I started. So at first there was, there wasn't that much online, and my assumption was I had to get a real teacher in real life sort of thing, and so I learned for a couple of years with Matt Walkler. He was a great teacher, and I've had a couple of other teachers along the way, but I did get into watching online videos, and I watched Adam Gusso. I watched Christelle Berton. They were the two at first, Adam and Christelle.
Oh yeah.
And you know, and I read Adam Gusso's book, Mr. Satan's Apprentice, and I gobbled all that stuff up. And a few years ago, they came to the UK, and we did Tomlin Lecky's festival in Edinburgh. Tomlin's a good friend of mine, and I was teaching there, and we were walking from one of the venues to the other venue we were using, and Adam and Christelle and I had our harps with us, and Adam said, let's just busk, let's play on this street corner.
Oh, I actually saw that video.
He'd always done that.
There's a video on YouTube, right?
Yeah, there's a video somewhere. And for me, that was a dream come true, because I'm standing between the two people that I first saw on YouTube. I mean, as far as I was aware, they were the only people on there. I hadn't seen Ronnie Shellist, who I now know was doing it actually even before them.
Yeah.
But for some reason, they weren't showing up. I just saw Adam and Christelle. And then several years later to busk on the streets with them and play. And no one watched us. Everyone walked past and ignored us. But I was in heaven, you know.
Yeah, I can totally understand. Like for me, going to the Harmonica Masters in Trossing for the first time and just seeing Steve Baker walk across the street after only like seeing him online on YouTube. That's like a big moment.
Yeah. So how did you start? Were you learning online when you first started playing?
I bought a book by a German harmonica player, which is solely called Blues Harp, and learned with it. But early on, I uploaded some of my recordings to a German harmonica forum. And that's where I got the first feedback. I mean, these were like the first lessons I had, basically. Yeah. And there was one harmonica player in the forum, and he wrote a message, and he asked me if he could give me like 4 lessons to like teach me the basics, and that's how everything started. So that was when I was 13, I suppose, and there was also like Skype. Already back then, so it feels very natural for me, and I think for you too, like to teach online, especially in 2020.
I mean, I was like I'd only been playing a few months when I started teaching, because I went to university, and there was a guy who lived on the same corridor as me, a few doors down, who had a harmonica. So he just bought a harmonica, and I was a few months ahead of him, but I didn't know much. But I taught him to play single notes and taught him about breathing properly, you know. So I was always a few steps ahead of him, and I kind of taught him for the whole time I was at university for 3 years, you know. And then I got some other students, and it just happened naturally, really. I think if you love something and you're enjoying learning it, you want to tell other people about it, you know?
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. I think I started teaching very early on too. That harmonica forum helped.
Yeah. Someone in the chat says, "Hey guys, everything I've learned has been online. I owe you both a lot. Many thanks." You're very welcome,
That's
Harp
great.
Guru.
Thank you. Yeah.
Pass on the love. Teach someone else.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much material online now. Of course, that's also the thing. Like, if you're a beginner, you gotta sort stuff out and see what's the good stuff. Because there's also bad stuff online, of course.
Yeah, and also, there's a lot of good stuff, but even if you find the good stuff, it's about having focus. And I think
Yeah.
that's maybe the biggest challenge to students learning now. And that applies to all instruments and to all skills, because the online, the internet will answer everything you want it to answer, but being focused and keeping a definite path and going the way you want to go is difficult, because we're all kind of distracted. It's like, oh, what's that over there? Oh, what's that over there? Oh,
Yeah, that's so
even if
true.
it's all good, you have to have that focus.
And even if you like all the other stuff and are interested in it, like, oh wow, I want to do that too, and then you can kind of get lost.
Like I've got some of your recordings, and I listen to them, and the chromaticism in the playing, and the jazz stuff, I'm like, man, I want to play like that. But then if I listen to like DeFord Bailey or like Joe Falisco, the modern equivalent of that kind of pre-war country blues, I'm like, no, I want to sound like that. And then I hear someone else, I want to sound like that. I want to sound like that. And it's trying to keep yourself on a path and work out what you sound like, and what you want to sound like. It's difficult.
Yeah. Is there anything like any skill you acquired like during the lockdown or during 2020? Is there anything that has changed for you this year?
A friend lent me an accordion because I wanted to play some like Cajun and Zydeco music.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't. My hands are useless, right? So, I mean, you see a guitar hanging there. I can't play. I can bash out 3 chords. My hands, I've tried piano and they don't do it. And I tried the accordion, even though it wasn't. It shouldn't be that different. It was a diatonic sort of system, but my hands just didn't want to do it. And I don't have the perseverance. I don't have that discipline to continue, because then at the end of the day, I think, you know what? I've got so much to learn on the harmonica. It's like, well, I want to put my time into the harmonica, I mean, I play the jug in a jug band, but that's basically just making fart noises. It's not, there's nothing sophisticated. It's just, that sort of thing. I'm trying to never learn a proper instrument.
Great. Yeah. I mean, that's like the perfect answer. That's what I was referring to. I just got a guitar and I'm starting to learn guitar.
Good. What kind of stuff are you learning?
I mean, I bought like a Stratocaster, and I just want to play some like single note phrases, like Afro beat stuff.
Cool.
That's my inspiration, like, because I'm really into music production, and I really like listening to Afro beats right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's a strange thing being a harmonica player. A serious, someone who takes it seriously, is kind of harmonica player, because it's an instrument it's quite good at lots of different things. It's okay at lots of different things. It can imitate different things. So you could say, well, if you stick with the harmonica, you can learn to get good at imitating all those different, sometimes it sounds like a voice, sometimes it sounds like a guitar, and sometimes it sounds like a violin, and sometimes it sounds like an accordion. So one of the things I've been watching recently, there's a friend of mine, Ed Hopwood, in the UK, and he does old time Cajun Zydeco stuff on YouTube. He has a channel called the Harmonica Barge, because he lives on a barge, a boat, on the river in London on the Thames, and he teaches these tunes. And I was watching one the other day where he was talking about the kind of combinations of notes, the kind of intervals within Cajun and Zydeco using accordions, but that you can imitate on harmonica. So he was talking about if you play the 4 draw and the 7 draw, so that, which I never do that. I never do that. If anything, I'd play the octave. So I'd play 4 and 8, like that. So I was kind of like, oh, that's cool. So I've just been sitting around. And suddenly it changes it shifts everything, and it feels more, it's like we're down in Louisiana playing that sort of stuff,
Yeah, I mean, that sounds great on harmonica.
Yeah, but I don't really play that stuff. And it took till watching this video the other day that I thought, I never play that. I use that mouth width for octaves on the blow notes, but I never play 4 and 7 draw together, because in my head, that isn't an interval, a combination of notes that I'm looking for. And then I was like, no, actually, that's really cool in certain contexts,
Yeah. Yeah, also like in my Twitch stream, I just got an F custom harmonica, and to this point I'm not a big fan of like high harmonicas, like especially in the melodic jazz context or something. But it's like self-therapy. I'm really enjoying it right now, and also noticed today that there's like a little trend on TikTok, like of people talking through the harmonica, and then there are subtitles.
Oh,
that's crazy!
Wow,
just like that.
Yeah,
and if there are subtitles, you can actually like understand everything.
Wow!
And these videos go viral. That's the new harmonica thing.
That's cool. Yeah, I've never done anything like that. The closest I've done is the kind of the almost like drone thing, like
yeah. Yeah.
But I've never actually like speaking through it.
Yeah, and I was also experimenting with that at some point, and I mean, if you really practiced it, like I could even imagine, like, I mean, you can also sing notes while inhaling.
Yeah.
And then you could like play like weird chords which aren't on the harmonica. I don't know. There's still a lot of stuff to discover. But what's your experience with a higher pitched harmonica?
So I mean, do you?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I like low harps. I have harps up to an F. I have a low F sharp, and I never play. I know they do high G. I don't see the point. It doesn't do it for me, because I feel like from the lowest note to the highest note should be, enjoyable. And even, on an A harp, the 10 blow is pretty high. That's pretty high, So I kind of tend to go C harp or lower. But that said, if I'm playing it, I play with blues and kind of rhythm and blues bands, and often the low harps don't cut through. We're in a busy club or pub. So there are times when I'll play a D, play an F. But I just love the low tuned harps. That said, bending the low tuned harps, man, it's hard work. I need to do some practice on that.
Oh yeah.
Because it gets out, oh, it doesn't want to go.
I remember that when Hohner came out with the Thunderbird harmonica, and we were at the music fair in Frankfurt with Steve Baker and some other players, like trying them for the first time, and it was a big challenge for everybody to like, yeah, who can bend the lowest note.
Yeah, yeah. I know Joe Falisco's good with them, and Dennis Grunling's great with the low harps.
Yeah.
I get pretty dodgy, even below a low F, low E flat. I'm like those bends. I'm not great with them. It's just, you can have an endless list of things to practice. This is that thing of focus again. It's like, what are the things I really, really need or want to learn,
But yeah, talking about like cutting through a band, like that was basically the reason for me to get that F harmonica, because I was supposed to play it was like a country kind of acoustic session, and the piece was in C. And if you want to play bluesy, I mean, you have to play an F harmonica. You can grab like the high one or like a low F harmonica. So
yeah. I mean, like when it's quiet, sitting at home like this, a low F. It's fine, but then as soon as you're with a band, it's like it's muddy. It's like sitting down there. So you pick up an F. And it's going to cut through that so much more, isn't it? It's up there.
Yeah, that can be a really good thing. So
yeah, I mean, especially as you say, country stuff. They kind of want that. They want it jumping out like that,
Yeah, country stuff, and like everything also sounds a little bluegrassy if you play like a higher pitched harmonica.
Yeah, I interviewed Charlie McCoy.
Okay,
and he was such a nice man. He was so humble, and the sessions he's played on, he's done thousands and thousands and thousands, and these are like big hits. And I sat in a back room with him in London at a show he was doing in a Pizza Express, I think it was, and he was so nice. He was such a cool guy.
Great, yeah. There are quite a few questions coming in the chat. Let's check them out. There's Travis Luna. My question is, how long did you practice in the beginning, and how developed your skills?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. And it's I hope you don't think this is a cop-out of an answer, because it's dodging the answer a bit. But the important thing is not how long you're practicing for. It's the quality of that practice. And that should go without saying, but often it gets forgotten. So you've also got to think, how much of this time I'm playing is actually spent doing work that will improve what I can do. And that you don't have to do that all the time, because you need some time just playing stuff that's fun and playing stuff and just practicing your muscle memory. But you need to have some focused chunks of determined practice on specific skills. So I tend to, with private students, I tend to get them to think in terms of short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals. And I let the long-term goal be very big and vague. It could just be, I want to be great on harmonica. Like, that's fine. And that could be like 10 years or lifelong.
Yeah.
But then your medium term might be kind of like learning to play 10 songs really well or whatever, something a bit more specific. And then your short term, which could be what I want to do today or in the next week or the next few months, is far more specific. So it's a specific technique. It's practicing your vibrato to a metronome. It's 60 beats a minute, three pulses per beat, triplets or whatever, something really specific. And I found that the students who do that come on a lot quicker, even if they play for less time per day or per week.
Yeah.
So they might put 10 minutes in each day, but it's like really focused, and they really come on. I mean, how about you, Konstantin? Were you playing all day when you started?
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I mean, just the thought of practicing very consciously. That's something my pianist also told me about. Like, I mean, there are quite a few pianists who, really got to get back into practice after spending a 2-week holiday or something. Mm-hmm. But there are others who have like not too many problems with it, and that's what he told me, that he just tried to practice very, very consciously and like moving his fingers very consciously all the time, and that's actually what helped him to stay in shape, even if he didn't have the option to practice for a longer time. But I don't have experience with that. Like in the beginning, I gotta be honest, like I basically practiced the whole day. Like,
well, so did I, but the point is that you don't have to.
Of course, I'm not sure like how conscious like with all of these hours were. Like,
yeah. I mean, but the most important thing, the bottom line underneath this is, people need to make sure they're enjoying. If you're starting to learn the harmonica, make sure you enjoy it, because if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to improve, because at some point you're going to throw the harmonica out the window and never play it again. So make sure you're even the focused practice, make sure it's on songs you enjoy or techniques that you really love the sound of. So if you're practicing your vibrato, it should be because you love the sound of vibrato, so you want to get that sound. And it makes it a lot easier because you want to go and practice. So then you keep doing it. So it has to be enjoyment underneath it all. And then keeping some time just for playing for fun. So there's pieces that I don't really perform or don't perform anymore. I used to with different bands, but I still play them just for fun. So like there's a thing, it's a Mark Graham piece. I think it's from an album called Southern Old Time Harmonica or something like that. Someone will tell me in the chat, I'm sure, called Hoof and Mouth. And it's a kind of... and goes on.
Wow, that's fantastic.
I used to play that with a band, and I don't really anymore, unless like the guitarist breaks a string and I'm stuck for something to do. But I play it at home just because I enjoy it, and it's good breathing practice. It's so rhythmic, and you can't force it. I say to my students, breathe, don't heave. And by heave, I mean that kind of, so don't do that. Just breathe. And you can't force that, because otherwise you explode. So it's great just for warming up and cooling down,
I'm actually very surprised. Like, I mean, of course I do know your YouTube lessons, but I didn't know that you're such a proficient, like, and great tongue blocking player.
Oh, cheers. Yeah, I mean, the YouTube thing is a funny thing for me, because so I started putting videos on YouTube when my wife was a student at the time. So she went back to university to study, and so she wasn't bringing any money. So I just tried like every avenue of work I could. I was teaching, I was out doing workshops, I was gigging and session work, and I was everything I could do. And YouTube, this is like six years ago or something,
Yeah, I looked at your
YouTube
channel.
was like this. Yeah,
I think like the first
YouTube was
video.
this thing that I was like,
Yeah, in early 2014.
oh, there you go. Yeah. So I thought like, oh, I'll put some stuff on you. I'll put some stuff on YouTube and just see. And people liked it, so I kept doing it, you know. And now I'm stuck with it. But I've basically just done stuff that I enjoy, stuff I find enjoyable and fun, and it's a bit random, my YouTube channel, because I'll do like pop songs and folk songs, and I've done a bit of classical, even though I can't play classical music, you know, like country stuff. It's like blues, obviously. So it's kind of like pick here, pick there, pick there. And sometimes I tab a song out, I play through it once, and then I record a YouTube video on it, all in the same day. So it's a bit like random what I put out there, just because I don't know, I'm just a bit like that. So I don't put not on that channel. I have another channel where I put my band stuff, but on my teaching channel, I don't really play because I'm there to teach. You know, I'll demo stuff, but I don't want to. I'm not there to show off. I wouldn't want to learn from someone who's just playing. You know, so I try to make it focused on teaching.
Great, yeah. So for those of you who are watching, you can check out the description box below. You can find all the links to Liam's YouTube channel and his social media there to check out the lessons. There's a question by Neil Grant. Liam, thanks so much for posting the improv C minor lesson. I've been practicing that for a year now, and you've given me some fantastic pointers.
That's a new one.
I also noticed that lesson, and I also have a question regarding this because I mean that's a very exact transcription of that In the Hour Fair solo, right? And I wondered how much did transcription have an impact on your playing? Was it an integral part of learning how to play harmonica, or is that an exception, that video?
I have always loved listening and working out what someone is doing. But that's very much with my ears. And then the writing down is kind of an extra that I do find it's useful sometimes, because then I can come back months or years later and it just helps sort of jog my memory. But generally I'm doing that to help other people. But I love working the song out. I love it. I love sitting. That's like when I'm at my happiest. You know, people talk about flow when they're in flow. I could sit all day and listen to stuff I enjoy and work out what they're doing. And I'm not saying I'd always get it right, but I've got quicker and I've got better at it. And I just love it. I just that. That's my heaven, you know, doing that. So doing stuff like that is just great fun for me. And then when it comes to the YouTube side of it, that's the apart from just stuff I enjoy, the other thing that makes me do a YouTube lesson is if enough people email me. And so many people emailed about that song, because she's got 10 million views on that video or something, you know. So
is that true?
I'm always getting emails how do you play this? Who is that? You know, what is that? So I just thought, recently, you know, it's only the last few weeks, I just sat down and thought, well, you know, I'll work it out. But I mean, she's already released a tab for that. And there's other tabs out there for that, but I hadn't seen a video lesson. So I wanted to do a lesson. But even if there are tabs out there, and even if they're tabs produced by the person who's played it or written it, I'll always try and work it out myself, because not because I could do better, but because I think that's an important part of the learning process, you know?
Yeah. Nice. Rish Frank Kaiser is asking, how did you study the 3-draw bends?
Yeah, so very methodical study. So I kind of went through a process with several steps. So the first step was getting used to the mouth shape that's needed, the change in terms of your approach, your embouchure, to get that note to move. And that's the stage that a lot of people are at, where you're just kind of, you're lingering on that, whether it's 3-jaw, 4-jaw, 2-jaw, whatever, you're trying to get it to go. And then one day, ooh, what's that? And then you're trying to recreate that shape as best you can. And the next step is to try and get the full kind of, depth, if you like, of that hole.
That's
so on
so
hole
important.
3, yeah, 3's the biggest one. Yeah, so.
Yeah, but I also tell you that because like a lot of people start out or want to start out playing that whole step band or something, but that's so important to get control over the whole range of the band first.
Yeah, but then, kind of what a lot of people don't understand at first as well is that that's a continuum, a continuous, so then you need a tuner or some kind of reference point. Unless you've got perfect pitch, you need a piano or you need a tuner like this. Another instrument like a piano is great because it's using your ears rather than your eyes. But this will tell you, you kind of, oh, I'm around the B flat. Am I sharp? Am I flat? And it will tell me. And then it's a case of trying to stop at the B flat, stop at the A.
Yeah.
Stop at the A flat, and hold it because the slightest change, you won't even think you're changing anything. The note will move. It'll come back up or it'll go down. And you're talking, this could be months of solid work. This doesn't happen unless you're very lucky or like innately wonderfully talented. It doesn't happen overnight. This takes a long time. So then you're trying to stop at those different, and get those tones. But this all happens very slowly. And if you write down what you're doing each day and record what you're doing, you'll get there a lot quicker.
Nice. Yeah. Sounds great. That's how I would teach it.
I mean, it's bending is a strange thing. The other strange thing that I've noticed is that once people get to the point of being able to get that 3-jaw way down, there's a qualitative change that happens in the experience of the bends. So when you first start out, you're like desperately trying to get the note to move. So the half step, the semitone bend, the B flat on a C harp feels like this like heavy weightlifting. You're like to get it to go. Once you can get that note to, that B flat feels like just a little, like almost like just a little flick, just nothing almost.
Yeah.
And suddenly you have to change how it just, it's the same thing, but it feels very different. So you have to adapt to that change of feeling. Trust your body, trust your mind.
Yeah, especially the half step bend on all 3. It can be quite tricky.
Yeah, and it's so important, if people are playing blues, if they're playing modern popular music, Western popular music in second position, they're often going to want that note, and it's difficult.
Yeah. I don't know if you get the question by Harp Guru. It's pretty long. I don't understand it completely. He says, one of the best lessons I got from you recently was that the blues exists between the major and minor scales. It inspired me to do some research, and I'm going to be producing a YouTube video exploring that idea a bit. Do you have any guidelines for successfully switching back and forth? Like between major and minor scales? Possibly,
yeah, so
right?
I think I did a video, or I did something where I was talking about that, how blues exists in the tension between kind of going to the major side and going to the minor side. So, and the context in which I was speaking about that was that I am a bit, I have problems with the blues scale. Okay, so and I should explain that, but I have nothing against the blues scale in and of itself, but within the world of harmonica, within the world of blues harmonica, it's often treated as kind of the only thing you need to learn to play blues. So
Yeah.
people like, they'll learn this. And that's like, they're great, fine, great notes. And they sound really cool. But if you listen to any of your favorite blues harmonica players, any of the greats, they're not always playing that scale. And the note that epitomizes it for me, interestingly, because we were just talking about the 3-draw, is that 3-draw half-step bend. So with blues, often you're playing over dominant seventh chords, which contain the major third. And you can play, the flattened third, the minor third over that, the blue third. And that's a cool note. That's like an awesome blues note. But you don't have to, and you don't have to all the time. And certainly when you get outside of blues, if you've got that habit of always bending that 3-draw to the half step,
Yeah.
you might be playing over major chords, and then suddenly it's like you're bluesing it up when it might not be the right idea. But then even within blues, it's not always it's not necessary, and if you've got the option of hit the major third, hit the flattened third, chop and change, then you've got that that ability. But so it was partly that I was talking about, and then it was partly just this idea that blues as a whole, it's you're not usually playing full major scales, but unless it's a minor blues, you're not really playing minor scales. So it's kind of that idea that the blues scale itself is, allows you to go both ways. I think I put a practice exercise in the lesson. The question was saying about successfully switching back and forth. I think the practice exercise I put in the lesson was just essentially playing up and moving around in for example, in second position with the blues scale, but then also practicing moving around more major notes. Now, you don't need to play the full major scale. You don't have to put that 5 overblow in, but you can play, major pentatonic or whatever major notes you can find. So that usually means not flattening the 3-draw and playing the 5 blow more than the 5-draw. And suddenly you're playing more major sounding. It kind of sounds country, And if you practice that stuff, I'm not saying you then have to go and play that stuff over a blues solo, but it's just opening up your options. So you've then got the option of play through those blues scale notes, but then you're not scared of the major third, and you're not scared of playing the 6th degree of the scale, and you've just got these options.
Yeah, and it can really help to like build the solo to like use, all the extremes you have available, just like playing very majorish for some time and then adding the minor third, or then going into a 4 whole half step bend. That makes a big difference then. And
yeah, and the other thing is, if you're playing blues, if you play that major third over the 1 chord, then when it goes to the 4 chord, you can flatten that to if we're playing a G blues, flatten that B to a B flat, and then you've got that kind of flat 7th on the 4 chord, and so it symbolizes and it tells the listener that you've moved with those changes. So you can kind of and then down to the 4. And then back up. And it's told, and even if you're not playing over any other instruments, you can hear that something is happening there.
Yeah, you're guiding the
Whereas
listener.
if you've already played, given that note away, you haven't got that same trick up your sleeve.
Yeah, I mean, if I would play like a solo piece right now, only using the blues scale, like it could be any piece. It doesn't even have to be like a 12-bar blues. Like you wouldn't know. But if I play something like just as you did, I mean, just with the whole notes that are available on hole 3, you can tell the whole 12-bar blues story. And
because then on the 5 you can go down to the full step bend.
Yeah, and that's a great exercise for the band, right? And I don't know, playing the turnaround. Going to the 4 and to the 1.
Yeah.
That's so important.
Exactly. And that 3 draw, there's that room to use all those notes, and it's such a distinctive, wonderful sound that the harmonica can make. So yeah, if you can use it to your advantage, then do.
Yeah. Great topic, definitely. So let's also get into, I mean, that's always important, right? Let's talk about gear. What kind of harmonicas do you play?
So I think someone asked in the questions in the chat like a good affordable harmonica, and I play mainly special 20s, so they're basically reliable. They're fine. They're nothing fancy, and the reason I play them is, I've always played Hohner harmonicas. I've got used to Hohner harmonicas, and the special 20 is that kind of mid-range thing where I think it night after night out gigging, it will give me what I want, whereas the cheapest harmonicas are not worth bothering with, and the really expensive ones and the custom ones are great for certain purposes, and I think actually a lot of people waste their money on them. And if people want to spend they've probably got more money than me, so they can do what they want. But I can't afford to be going out buying custom harps all the time. And I don't think I need to. So a lot of the stuff I'm playing like blues, where I'm rarely, if ever, overblowing, and I'm playing stuff that the special 20 will do absolutely fine. I mean, I've got here's a couple of custom sugarcane harps that are beautiful. They play beautifully, but I don't need them. And actually, I'm almost a bit scared of gigging with them, because unless I've got a really listening audience, I feel like it's wasted. It's wasted on them. So,
but you probably use them for recordings.
Yeah. So I've got my recording harps, and I was doing some recording today. So I've got my amp out, doing an online session job, and I'll get my good harps that are in tune and play well, and I'll use them for that. And I wish I could have new harmonicas every day, because they go out of tune so quickly. But until I'm a millionaire, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I'm also so bad at retuning them.
Yeah, I've never got into all that stuff. I don't have a head for how things work. I'm not into cars and engines and like electronics. Like, I don't know. I'm not interested. I'm too interested in like lyrics, like working out some words to a song and looking at pretty pictures, So I don't have the patience to sit and take the harp apart and do that. And I've tried it, and I'm not good at it. So I was asking on Facebook today, yesterday, I don't know, about low-tuned harmonicas that are tuned to equal temperament. And the reason is because I do a lot of YouTube lessons in first position, playing major melodies, folk songs and pop songs. But then if I'm using this, the 5 draw especially will be really flat. Yeah. So I was asked, and I wanted some low-tuned harps that I could use for those lessons. So I was asking, and when you ask that question, people always say, "Oh, just retune if you're only bothered about the 5 draw, just retune the 5 draw on a few of your harps." But I'm just not interested. I don't want it. I don't know why.
Yeah, I would just destroy the instrument.
Yeah, it's not for everyone. It's certain like ways of thinking. I don't know what people who are watching and writing in the chat how they think, but I think a lot of people have that. I think it's a great ability to think like that, but for me, I don't know. It's just not me.
Yeah. That tram asking how long does a diatonic last before the weeds go bad and corroded? I mean, that really depends, right? I mean, I can just say that the custom harmonicas that I play, some of them are from 2012. And I don't know, I haven't got them retuned too often, like 2 times. I'm not a heavy player. And in the end, on the diatonic harmonica, the player is like in charge of the pitch of all the notes, like for, I don't know, 80%. I'm just guessing right now. So yeah. How do you feel about that? How about your instruments?
Yeah, one of my bad habits is playing too hard. I gig a lot, or I did gig a lot before COVID, and it's very difficult to avoid playing too hard in a loud room where no one gives a shit about your music, so you're like trying to get their attention. So my harps go out of tune pretty quickly, to be honest, or my gigging harps go out of tune pretty quickly.
Yeah.
The ones I use for recordings don't, and my custom harps don't. But I love playing octave splits. There you go.
That's the merch. Where can people get the t-shirt?
Yeah, you can actually. Yeah, go to my website. Go to the YouTube channel.
Okay, yeah.
So I love playing octaves, and I mean sometimes. So first off, you can get a harmonica brand new, and the octaves will be out of tune, and that isn't necessarily Hohner's fault or Suzuki's fault or Zeidel's fault. It can happen in the mail on the way to you, and there's such fine differences. But you can get a new harp and play those octaves, and I'm sure some of these will be out. So that's the first thing I notice. I notice there's that pulsing sort of tremolo sound. That's a little bit. But I start to notice that yeah. But then I keep them a lot longer than that because I can't afford to replace them at that point. In terms of corroded, I think it takes a long time for them to corrode away. It's more just they'll go a bit out of tune. But for most people, playing most stuff, if they're not doing it seriously, with bands, it's not going to be that big a problem. And that's because you might not even notice it's that different, and your listeners might not notice that it's that different. And this is a really good and a really bad thing about harmonica all at the same time. People will let you play any old rubbish on a harmonica. That's just the way it is. You get away with a lot on harmonica. So if one note goes slightly out of tune, it doesn't mean you necessarily have to throw it away. And probably you're better than me at retuning it anyway. So, get into the tuning side of things. You'll save yourself a lot of money.
Yeah. Daniel is asking, if you had to choose one key diatonic and play it for the rest of your life, which key and why? B flat.
Yeah? Why B flat?
I don't know. It's just the best setup instrument, and I like the like the pitch. Like, it's not too high, it's not too low. I can get all the overblows and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be my choice.
I like B flat. I like A. I like the G, but I couldn't use G for everything. But I do really love it. Like I could just sit on those like low chords on a G. but then equally I could sit on, like I got one of Zeidel's low Fs, and it's
Yeah.
like, let me see if I can find it. It's a beautiful thing. It's my box of tricks here. What have I got in here? Is it in here? I don't even know what it is. Don't know where it is. I've lost it. Yeah, I've got a low F, and it's such a beautiful big kind of sound that I'm like, oh, I could just play this all the time. I don't know what I've done with it. It's somewhere. Yeah, I don't know. B flat's pretty cool. I think you might win with B flat. It's a lovely. I mean, that thing again of, like, you want the low notes to sound great and you want the high notes to sound great, and you know, everything in between. But I've got a soft spot for low tuned harps. Like this is a low C. It's the lowest one I can find at the moment. I don't know what I've done with my Zeidel low. There it is. There we go. Yeah, I've got a soft spot for these things because they're just like, I mean, look how thick it is. It's ridiculous. It's not even music. It's just like therapy. It's beautiful.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah.
I don't know if my mic can pick that up.
Yeah, it sounded weird, but I think people could imagine. Nice. Yeah, fantastic. I mean, there's another thing that's like my question I'm very interested in, because I checked out your YouTube channel and scrolled like through all the stuff you uploaded, and there's a little harmonica lesson series for kids, and that was like 6 months ago, and I wanted to ask you, like, what kind of experience you have teaching harmonica to kids, and do you have any students, like, or teenage students, or have you ever given workshops to kids?
I've given private lessons, and I've given workshops to kids and to kind of mixed audiences from, you know, with children and then 80-year-olds in the same room as well. So I've done a bit of everything. I don't actually teach privately at the minute because I don't have time. So I don't have any students at the moment, but I've done it in the past, and kids love the harmonica. You know, it's so approachable. And I think, you know, just being able to pick it up and get a sound that feels musical, you know, get notes that harmonize straight away, harmonize, you know. So I think children are very musical if you allow them to be. You know, it breaks my heart when someone says, I'm not musical, I don't have a musical bone in my body. You know, I just don't believe it, because I think if you're told that you're not musical, you will be not musical. If you're told you're musical, you will be musical. I'm not especially musical. I just love music, and I love playing music. And if I can get some nice sounds, you know, I'm going to try. But kids, I think, will latch onto that stuff if you allow them to. So the YouTube series was just because my niece, so my wife's sister's daughter, was stuck at home with lockdown in the UK, and everyone in the family was giving her lessons via Zoom or Skype or whatever. Her granddad was giving her history lessons, and my wife was teaching her biology, and you know, her auntie was teaching her maths. And I thought, well, I had never done YouTube kids lessons, but I thought, well, why don't I, if I'm going to teach her, why don't I put it on YouTube? So I put together this kind of silly 10 lesson series, and I dedicated it to Lizzie, my niece, and just put it out there, and people seem to like it. So I might do another one.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just, with every, as you might be discovering, with everything I do, I'm just winging it. I'm making it up as I go along. So that was exactly the same. Just like, oh, I'll give this a go.
Great. Yeah. So we already exceeded 1 hour. I mean, I know we could talk for hours about harmonica and music.
Yeah.
There's still a few questions. There's Robert Davis asking, how do you transcribe a song? Do you use software? Or do you have any other tips?
So the actual process is very simple for me, because it's essentially listening and imitating. And I think that's the process people have used forever, for hundreds or thousands of years. You listen and then you imitate. I do now have a program called Transcribe with an exclamation mark at the end. Transcribe. There's other ones, the amazing Slowdowner, and others. There's loads of software now that can slow down slow down music.
You can slow down music on YouTube now.
Yeah. So it gives you a sound file transcribed. You can kind of watch the sound file scroll along, and you can put markers and notes, and say, you could put like the chord changes, or you could just put different phrases. I tend to use it for phrases, licks, or things like A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And then I'll tend to work it out full speed, and I'll check it slower. I'll listen slower and go, was that really that? Especially now I'm teaching it online. I'm like, I better get this right, because someone's gonna put in the comments, Liam, you got this wrong. Which happens still, but I make fewer mistakes because I check it. But the actual process is the first process, and the most important process is just listening again and again and again. And that does a few things. It really gets the music inside your head, because you've played it so many times. You almost get to the point of from loving it to hating it, and then you push through hating it and you love it again.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure you know that feeling.
I do.
But the more importantly, you want to listen to it at full speed, because that's the speed it was played at. That's what the person was playing. They weren't playing it at 25% speed. So the things you start hearing at 25% speed, sometimes they're important and they're things you've missed. You might have missed a note, but often it makes you concentrate on stuff that isn't as important, and the bigger picture gets lost. So it's like the saying, can't see the forest for the trees. It's kind of, you're zoomed in too much. So that's really good advice. It's not the main thing,
Yeah. Oh, you read the last comment by that tram? My crush told me harmonica sounds harsh to her ears. I left her.
Well done, Dat Tram. That's very, very wise of you.
You should use some more capping.
Yeah, that's it. I sometimes wear earplugs when I'm playing. Yeah. Oh, someone says, Keith van der Linton says, the diatonic is so popular. I'm trying to learn it, but what about the chromatic harmonica? Is it more difficult to play? Ooh, good question. So, no, it's not more difficult. It's just different. I mean, every instrument is different. What you will find, if you are someone who started on the diatonic, and if you're not someone who comes from if you're not musically trained on other instruments or theoretically, so you're just someone who likes pop music and you started playing the diatonic harmonica and you can work out some tunes on it. What you'll find if you start playing the chromatic harmonica is that it's scary, because there's all these extra notes that, yes, you can get them on the diatonic, but that's a different thing to worry about. It feels very different coming from that angle, because you're kind of essentially, your best approach to learning a chromatic is to treat it like any other instrument. But people don't tend to treat the diatonic like other instruments. They treat it like this funny thing, partly because you just buy another key harp to play in a different key, so you don't think in the same way as other instruments. But I think partly because it's almost treated like a toy instrument or a kid's instrument, that we don't think of it in the same way as others. So when you go to chromatic, if you get a teacher, or if you look at lessons, or if you just start trying to work things out, you'll find that your approach ends up being more like other instruments, which it should be, which can be scary and strange. And I mean, I'm 99% a diatonic player, and I play a few little tunes on chromatic, but they're just like things I've learned note for note, and I have no idea what I'm doing. So it's very much a diatonic player playing the chromatic. If you want to really learn the chromatic, you've got to change your headspace. But I'm interested, I want to ask you, Konstantin, because you kind of play the diatonic chromatically. So, I mean, do you play any chromatic harp, or have you tried? Do you know?
Of course. I mean, I do have, I bought a chromatic very early on because I was inspired by Dennis Greenling to play like a third position minor blues with these big tongue splits. But yeah, I also got CX12 jazz. And I mean, I can play it, but I very rarely use it on stage. Mostly if it's like, a gig by somebody else where they want me to play with that sound, or it's a recording session where they want that sound. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or also, like when I'm producing stuff, like, and I want to play some harmonica over the instrumental, like sometimes I have the feeling, I really like the sound of the chromatic over this, so then I just record the chromatic.
Yeah, I tend to, I'm a diatonic player, but then especially with so I play with a jug band, and we do like 1920s and 30s music. So we do some jug band music, we do some blues and jazz, and some of the songs, the original arrangement was kind of almost like orchestral, and then it's like, what am I going to do? And I'm not good enough with overblows to do it on diatonic, so then I'll kind of work out a little way of doing it on the chromatic, but then I just like learn them note for note, and I'd kind of work out a way of as best I could doing something that might do justice to the original, bearing in mind we don't have any of the instruments that the original had. So I might do like, so sometimes like there's songs, like there's a song, Papa Dee Da Da, which is a stupid Papa Dee Da Da, he's the latest man, Papa Dee Da Da, sweetest in the land, Papa Dee Da Da, watching clap his hands, you can play piano grand, this stupid little thing. But it's got these like back and forth between, I don't know if it's like a clarinet and a trumpet or a saxophone, I can't remember, on the original, but there's no other soloing instrument in our band apart from the guitar, and he's like playing rhythm anyway. So then I'll do like a back and forth where I'll kind of like octaves and then single notes. So that sort of thing. To try and to be two instruments at once. And it's great for that, that kind of sound.
Yeah. Favorite song to play on the chromatic is Isn't She Lovely? Of course. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Someone said, why are all the harp workshops in the UK up north? There never seems to be anything down south. I want to know where Harp T lives. You don't have to give me your address and postcode and, bank details, but where in the south do you live? Because Bristol is in the south. There's Harping by the Sea, which is down on the south coast somewhere as well. So there are actually things going on in the south. And you can follow me around in the south. You know, I gig mainly in the south, especially on the south coast, Devon and Dorset and Cornwall, pre-COVID times. So yeah, let me know where you are in the south, and I'll try and help.
Yeah, we did talk quite a lot about harmonica and teaching. I mean, you also, like, not everybody plays concerts in 2020, but you're also performing with your own band, the Liam Ward Band, and you are playing in duos with guitar, and you have the jug band. Where can people check out your music? What's the best place to buy a CD or stream the music?
They're all on, iTunes and Spotify and all that stuff. But if you go to Liam Ward Band or Liam Ward Music .com, then I've got information on all my bands on there. Yeah, my band, the Liam Ward Band, is like rhythm and blues stuff, and then the duo stuff is more like acousticy, bluesy, a bit more singer-songwriter, and then there's the jug band. I love the duo stuff though.
Yeah,
I don't know how you feel, guitar, Konstantin, but I just feel there's like so much room to play.
Yeah, I mean, especially with guitar, I love the sound of harmonica and guitar. Like,
yeah, they just like come together so well.
Yeah, great. So yeah, what's the next thing you're up to? Is there anything happening in the end of 2020 for you, like music wise, harmonica wise?
Well, I mean, I'm almost always writing courses, writing lessons, and writing music as well. So I'm still releasing at the moment 2 lessons a week on YouTube, so they're still going up. I'm doing more of these like play along things where it's like a karaoke sort of thing. You play along to the screen, and then my normal lessons, still taking requests on lessons, and I'm doing more courses for my members zone. So I started this members zone recently where you get all of my premium lessons for a monthly fee, $19.99 a month, and you can try it free for 14 days to see if it's for you. So it includes my beginners course, it's got a tongue blocking course, it's got song studies on like all my favorite blues songs by Little Walter, Big Walter, Sonny Boy, and all that. So I'm adding more stuff to that at the moment because I'm stuck at home. I've got a couple of gigs in the diary, but I'm only taking gigs if people ask me to do them. I'm not trying to get them because I've lost 100 gigs this year, and it's like too depressing to be, out trying to get gigs if you don't even know if they're going to happen. So I recently had, so the rules here, if you've seen someone, you've been in the same room for more than 15 minutes with someone who's tested positive for COVID-19, then you have to stay indoors for 14 days. And I saw someone who is a guitarist I played with. I saw him and he tested positive. He's fine. He's young, he's fit, and he's recovered. But I had to stay inside for 14 days, and I had 3 gigs I had to cancel in those 14 days. So it's just like, it's just so unpredictable the times that I'm just not trying to get gigs at the minute. I'm just waiting it out, as a lot of us are. Yeah,
same. I mean, we started like this next lockdown light thing here, and like everything in November is cancelled, and probably the stuff in December will be cancelled too. So
yeah,
I'm at home, I'm just glad that we could do this live stream. So
yeah, I mean, it's it's a pleasure. It's nice to feel connected because it's such a time of isolation. One of the songs so I was doing some session work today, and one of the songs that the guy sent me is a song called Isolation Blues. And it's the first song that I've recorded that's like COVID era lyrics. It's all like, I'm stuck at home on my own, that he sent to me. And it's like, God, there's so much isolation. We need stuff like this. We need to keep connected. We need to be able to have these chats and even if none of us can be in the same room together, because the workshops aren't going to be going on for a while now. I've seen in the comments, Harp T said down in Kent. Yeah, Kent's a little bit of away from anywhere, but the closest one's probably Harping by the Sea. If you search for Harping by the Sea, I can't remember if it's in Brighton, Hove, or somewhere like that. But that's on the south coast, and then Bristol's probably the closest one after that. But yeah, you're a bit out of the way in Kent. You've got Broadstairs Blues Bash, though. I played that the other year. I don't know if you saw me there. Keep an eye out. I might be back.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, I hope to see you in person very soon. Like next year, are you planning to go to any harmonica festival?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, it's just that thing of, it's so difficult to plan. I mean, I've got tickets to concerts where the date has changed 4 times already, and I've been invited to play festivals and the date has changed 4 times already. You know, so it's kind of like,
yeah,
I don't know. I'm planning on it, yeah. But we'll see. How about you? Are you going to be touring next year?
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. There's also still like something big coming up, like a New Year's concert, playing with an orchestra, playing the Howard Levy concerto. But I don't know if it's happening. And if it's happening, like there won't be like one single concert only, but there will be like 2 or I don't know 4 performances to like, yeah, get all the people.
Have you had
in
Howard
who
Levy
come.
on your for these interviews?
Oh, sorry, say that again.
Have you had Howard Levy on to do an interview with you?
Oh yeah. Last year in October, he actually visited Hamburg. And
Cool.
he was an artist in residence at the music school here. And he gave a workshop in front of the whole jazz department. And everybody was just fascinated. And every instrumentalist wanted to get a lesson from him. Because the thing is, like, he can also play every instrument, basically. Yeah, that was awesome. We played a concert together, and it was crazy to be on stage with him and like playing pieces that I wrote, playing pieces that he wrote, and just knowing after your solo that he's gonna improvise over the song and the other way around, like and yeah, we won't do this again. I mean, if everything is getting back to normal again, like he will come back to Hamburg and we'll play another concert.
Howard's what I call people like Howard, I call them bastards, which is a rude way of me saying they're so talented that I'm so jealous. Yeah. You know, just kind of like, I'm like, I am not worthy. I interviewed him for my YouTube channel, and he was such a lovely man. And he sat at the piano and he's playing bebop stuff, piano and harmonica, and just like he just seemed to have that endless curiosity, like interest in trying things. I was asking him about how he developed the system of kind of overblowing to the point where it was that kind of developed system, and he just said, I just kept saying, what if I tried this, what if I tried that? It's wonderful.
Yeah. Oh, this is like the best at least a funny question to end the stream. What is the best song to play on harmonica for my crush?
I have a YouTube lesson on I Can't Help Falling in Love with You. So, if as long as you don't think that's too much, then try that, because that's a great song.
Fantastic. That's the best advice you can get. Yeah, man, thank you so much for your time and joining the stream, and yeah, that was fun.
Thank you very much. I hope that everyone watching got something out of it. I tend to ramble, but I could talk all night about harmonica. I just love things. Yeah. So thank you for having me. It's been great.
Yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. The next Hohner live stream will be in 2 weeks from now, same time, on a Thursday, together with Carlos Del Junco. I'm really looking forward to that. I haven't talked to him in a long time. And the next live stream I'm giving on Twitch will be on Sunday at 6 p.m. Central European Time. But yeah, check out the description box below with all the links to Liam's social media accounts and his website where you can check out his music and his lessons. And I hope to see you soon in the chat or at a harmonica festival. That would be even better. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good day or good evening wherever you are. Bye-bye.